Welcome, friends, to our Sunday gathering. Oh my goodness. Yes, it is Sunday gathering number 231. It is hard to believe. Yes, we're here each and every Sunday. We have not missed a Sunday since March of 2020. Here to bring you inspiration, joy, some empowerment for the weeks ahead, and also to let you know just how close your loved ones are who may have passed into the world unseen. I am joined today to two of my very best friends in the world, Kerry McLeod and Phil Dykes. They are husband and wife team, but Kerry is with family in Scotland right now, and Phil is holding down the fort at the home in England. So you'll see them on separate screens. They've been with us for most of the Sunday gatherings. You might not have seen them recently because they have been busy touring, traveling, teaching, and then also they run some very special medium classes and groups on the weekends. So we are always so happy when they're back because they are part of the family. If you have not yet met me, I am Sandra Champlain, lovingly referred to as hostess with the mostest. I'm the author of the book We Don't Die. I have two podcasts about the afterlife with now over 650 hours of episodes. So you know I am somebody committed to give you really good knowledge that we live on, but more important is help through grief and shared help to have an empowered and good life while we're here. Kerry or Phil will be doing our prayers today. They will share in our demonstration of mediumship, and they'll also be doing the address today. I handle all the behind the scenes things, but I'll also be doing the healing, the reading for today, some words for the week, and could be it. Who knows? Never know what could happen on our Sunday gathering. Whatever it is that brought you to our Sunday gathering, you are now part of the family, and we appreciate you giving us your time. So we will give you everything that we've got. Our theme today is words from the heart, which really means there's no theme. It's whatever's in my heart, whatever is in Kerry's heart, whatever is in Phil's heart to share. Sometimes there's words that they need to hear or I need to hear, and I think we all need to hear. So we'll just go wherever it goes. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to one of my friends for the opening prayer.
Thank you very much, Sandra. It is an absolute delight to be back. It seems like such a long time since we have been here. It's probably only about 7 or 8 weeks, but we tune in and we watch and we catch up and we see the comments. So it's lovely to be here with you again. If we can start our service with prayer, if you'd like to join me to whoever you feel your God is. Divine, ever-present Spirit, today as we gather under that umbrella that seeks to confirm the knowledge that we don't die, that in fact that life continues after the physical death. And yet we always seek reassurance, we always seek that knowledge, and we always appreciate those signs and comforts that are sent to us, that are shown to us, that are gifted to us from our loved ones and friends in spirit. For this time on the Sunday gathering, may we as a community online and yet global come together underneath that umbrella, sending our thoughts out to the world wherever it's needed, but knowing that our friends and family for this period and also for the remainder of the week will be close to us, loving us, reassuring us, and walking by our side. Amen.
Thank you so much, Kerry. And for the reading from me, well, you might have guessed with our opening video, the last one, called 100 Years, what the theme is about. The gentleman singing from Five for Fighting, I had an opportunity to see him locally perform. Now, in that video, he's probably in his late 30s, and he's now in his late 50s. So he's a different man with white hair. Well, he's the same man, different look to him, a little more meat on the bones. And it really hit me, this thought about aging. And I don't know how YouTube does this, but they play recommended videos. So I don't know if they figure out what I'm searching for. They probably do. But YouTube has been kind enough to give me recommended videos, which are all handsome and beautiful movie stars when they were in their prime of their day and what they look like now. So as you can imagine, some are a little old and haggard, and some are the stars that are about my age, and some look good and some not so good. This thought of aging has really been on my mind. And although mentally I know that every single one of us pass through it and it's about being present, I thought for myself and for you, we're going to do a story about aging. This is a story called How I Finally Made Peace with the Challenges of Aging by Linda Yellen. For the past 50 years, I've been angry at a woman named Leslie Hornby. Yes, you know who I mean. Twiggy. Twiggy is her other name, with her big sultry eyes, painted lashes, hipless hips, and flat chest. Those you were on all of the 1967 magazine covers for Vogue and 17, the embodiment of perfection. Meanwhile, much to my utter distress, I was growing up with hips and a bosom. No boy will ever like me, I cried to my mother. I was also stuck with zits, frizzy hair, an overbite, and hefty calves, which might have come in handy for my ancestors trudging around Russia, but weren't so great for me wearing a mini skirt in schools. High school was when I went to war with myself. At night, I did jumping jacks in my bedroom to firm my hips. I drenched my face in a face mask and slept on a head full of clangy orange juice cans, my huge and clunky makeshift rollers that, along with gobs of gel, would, fingers crossed, straighten those stubborn curls. Between the cans, my metal mouth retainer, and night guard, I could have picked up radio signals. It turns out boys didn't reject me because I had hips and an ample chest. My curly hair also wasn't a deal killer. But oh, all that time wasted trying to fix myself. I apologize to you, dearest body, that I was so scorned and unappreciative of you. Here's the good news. Sometime in my mid-30s, something happened. Maybe it was something I read. Maybe it was something I heard on a talk show. I wish I could remember the magic formula that changed things around me, but I finally became more aware of how my body felt and what it could do. I took up jogging. I lifted weights, not to improve myself, but rather to enjoy myself and feel its strength. My physical awareness was no longer all about looks, but more about movement and capability. How lovely it would be to now write, "And she lived happily ever after." For quite a while that was true. In my 40s and 50s, I felt comfortable with my body. But then, whoops, I hit my 60s and things started to go kaput. On my first day as a college freshman, my new dorm mate taped a poster over her bed that said, "Today is the first day of the rest of your life." Wow, that was a mind-blowing concept. And now, in my 60s, it's a humbling one. I've entered a whole new era of things that need to be fixed. But this time, it's different. I have friends with new hips, maybe new knees, maybe a new heart valve or two. But now I know that some things can't be fixed. Nobody's invented a way to replace the cartilage missing in my fingers. Lost hair can't be restored by growth gel. As thin as my skin is today, it's only getting thinner. The way my body looks right this minute is as good as it's ever going to get. But what would that jump jacking girl in juice can rollers tell me now? How can we avoid wasting time bemoaning inner aches and outer fading beauty? Simple. Reframe the pain. There's a Taoist saying, it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. Rather than deem a problem as bad, treat it as an experience. Instead of saying, this hurts, tell yourself, oh, this is what a sore neck feels like. That's how I got through cancer treatment. Oh, this is what chemo feels like. Oh, this is what radiation feels like. Step back and observe the pain rather than be in pain. There might be plenty of days when it's too much to love your body, but some neutral acceptance could help. Give credit where credit is due. Remind yourself of what you can do. I can no longer do this, but I can still do this. In the best of Oprah's What I Know for Sure, she writes, I finally realized that being grateful to my body, whatever shape it was in, was the key to giving myself more self-love. In my case, my fingers may ache, but they can still open a pickle jar. Also, we can see the upside. Several years ago, my husband Randy and I were touring senior living places with his mom. Ruth was ambivalent about making the move. All these old people on walkers, she said. Can't anybody walk around here? 5 months later, happily ensconced in her new home, she asked, Can you get me a walker? She had learned from her new friends that the pouches on walkers are great for storing yogurts and bananas swiped from the breakfast buffet and for stashing your pocketbook while playing bridge. We can do what we can. Linda says, I made a New Year's resolution to walk up the stairs to my 7th floor apartment at least once a day. I'd be lying if I said I enjoy this activity, but I'm doing it to improve my cardio fitness. Yesterday, still huffing, I made it through my front door and immediately asked my husband, Randy, hey, honey, how would you feel about moving 2 flights down to the 5th floor? But today I took a deep breath and I climbed those stairs again. We can also say something nice. It's humanly impossible to maintain 2 thoughts at once in our heads. If you start criticizing your droopy chin or bony hands, stop. Just stop. Pick a feature you like about yourself. Practice right now and pay it a compliment. Nice teeth, Linda. And your implants look so natural. We can also distract ourselves. Something hurts in your body. Something hurts to look at. Do what we do when our 2-year-old grandson gets upset. Whip out a toy, turn on some music, divert your attention. I asked my 83-year-old friend Betty how she deals with the wrinkles of later life. Who has time to worry about that? She said. Then she headed off to her painting class with a full calendar of delightful activities. The other day, I looked up Twiggy online. Yes, she's still slim, and she's still annoyingly beautiful. But at the age of 75, I bet she has aches and pains too. Thank you for listening to my reading. Wherever you are in that 100-span lifespan, know that you're one of a kind and perfect. We're going to go into our healing segment now, and the song I've chosen is Time by Enya. And the lyrics reminded me that we can be unhappy with time for it going by so quickly, or for the gray hairs or whatever is going on, but also there could be real blessings in time. Not a single one of us knows that the most joyful part of our lives and miracles could be just ahead of us. So we have time to thank and look forward for that. So as we listen to our song by Enya, this is our healing time. And for those who are new with us, this is the opportunity for those in the unseen world to use our human energy to direct it to where it's needed in the world. So I know there's some people in our community that need some healing, physical and emotional. I also know you have family members and friends, people in your community. If we look at this world, we know that there's healing that is needed. Instead of looking at what's wrong, like in the words from our reading, look at people and situations, imagine them whole, healthy, well, perfect, smiling, joyful, and that's the best way to move into our healing. So here is our song, and then we'll be back with Kerry and Phil for our address.
One of my favorite songs, Sandra. Absolutely. Beautiful. It is an absolute pleasure to be back. I know it feels we've been away, certainly for Phil and I, for such a long time. And when Sandra said the theme of today was about words from the heart, we didn't actually have to think very hard about, or I certainly didn't, and I know Phil has his own thoughts about what we speak about. It's everybody here. It's people we meet. It's about the people that are seeking a confirmation of something more. It's about a confirmation of what we're all here for. Is there life after death? And if there is, what does it look like? Where are our loved ones? Where are our families? Where are our pets? How do I contact them? Will I get over this? Will the pain ever end? Will I see the signs? These questions are not something that will ever change because they're very, very present for every single one of us. Whether you have an experience or whether you've seen somebody have an experience, when that person is seeking a truth, wouldn't you just love to be able to write something down to them and hand it to them and say, here's the truth. Here's the truth about life after death. But we can't, can we? We can't hand somebody else our truth. They have to find their own path. They have to notice their own signs. They have to feel and live their own experiences. And for some, that takes what might seem a long time. And for others, it happens fairly quickly. We know that we believe in life after death, the three of us here. But I would imagine that you sitting at home have your questions. Have your questions about why, how, where, what, and who. All these questions are absolutely legitimate. Because if you don't ask those questions, you cannot begin to find your truth. And if you're not finding your truth or seeking something, then you're not going to notice when that one gift or sign is left for you. Because you're not looking, you can't see. So maybe in some way, every one of you is actually in a much better place than the person who hasn't come across anything to do with life after death. I used to think that people that didn't question life after death were the lucky ones. They didn't have to experience the turmoil or the journey or the heartbreaks or the disappointments of seeking and being let down, of searching and of being in some way failed by life. But now I hope that every single person out there that doesn't already have a question about life after death in some way meets one of you. Because you might not be convinced about what happens after we die. But I wonder if a small word from you plants a seed for somebody else. And if they plant a seed for somebody else, reminiscing of the conversations that they had with you, then are they not planting a seed? And just imagine if they spoke to somebody who said, I know somebody who knows a somebody who's seeking their own truth about life after death. Then they've planted a seed. Now, I wonder if from the spirit world, when we get there, and sadly, or maybe not, we're all going to get there at some point or other. I wonder if we were to look back and see that web of seeds that we planted, just how many more seeds were planted because of what we said. Now, you might think that saying to somebody that's very recently bereaved some kind words, you cannot take away their pain, but some generous words might make a difference for them. They might ask you, how can you be so positive? How do you know? What's your belief? And if you choose to share with them, there's a tiny seed planted. All you need to do is plant the seed. It's not your job to germinate that seed. That seed is up to the person you've planted it within. So I wonder if you were to think back to who planted the seed of life after physical death for you. Maybe it was one of us. Maybe it was somebody else that spoke about Sandra's podcast or her book. Maybe it was something else, talking of someone else, and that sparked your curiosity. Maybe it was a bereavement of your own that got you questioning, is this all there is? And suddenly you find yourself here with us, keeping us company, or us keeping you company. I don't know, doesn't matter. But if you imagine a carpet of seedlings, all from one small thing you do every single day that speaks of your truth about life after death, you're not there to convince. You're not there to tell them that your truth is correct. You're not there to push your faith or your belief or anything else into their life. You're there to plant a seed. Now, it might be a seed so small that you do not even notice you've done it. It's almost like a candle, isn't it? If your candle is lit, you can light as many other candles, but it never diminishes yours. If you have a flower full of seeds, your flower is never going to diminish because you're sharing the seeds, because there is a plentiful amount within you. It's your spark. It's your light. It's your truth, your personality, your spirit, your soul. It's who you are. So you can choose to go out there and share seeds of truth with others, or you can keep it to yourself. I wonder what on earth full of people would feel like if the majority of them knew that we don't die, that we exist. Yes, the physical body disappears. Yes, we miss them like heck. Whoops. But if we can share a truth with other people, then we can share a truth across this globe. I wonder what that would do to people's approach to what they do, what they say, how they are, how they treat others. Sandra's songs today shared about how few years we have. I know the oldest person in Britain's now 103, maybe slightly older. Still not long enough, is it? So share your seeds. Go out, speak your truth, not to convince, but to embrace somebody else's truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. And ladies and gentlemen, Sandra's asked us to talk about things from the heart. And over the last few days, I've had so many different thoughts of what I could speak of. What would be true to me? What will be true to what I represent? What is true to my intention? Or I can speak a truth of life. And as I was listening to Kerry, all those thoughts disappeared. New thoughts grew as like those seeds that Kerry talked about. And the seeds that we speak of started almost 5 years ago, more like 4 years and 6 months. And where there was an idea born to do something different. And that different thing is what you're attending today, the Sunday gathering. It was from Sandra and Darren's trip in America, where they witnessed something and thought we could do better. And that was talked about. Then several months later, here we are facing a pandemic. And the five of us got together and said, we could do something different. And they remembered that conversation. And I remember the very first Sunday gathering, and I can remember the iconic words that were repeated week in, week out for over a year. They were, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. They still get said around the globe today by many different people. But we were speaking a truth. We were sharing a truth from our hearts. It was something that was very important to us and still is very important to us today. Because as we spoke those words and that truth, we wanted to do something different, something that we thought we could greet and meet lots of people that wouldn't necessarily step within the church or would look at a religion. So we said we'd do something a little bit different, and that is what we're attending. But as we have voyaged and journeyed through time, there's been many people that have been on here. I believe one of them, Chris Jacobs, is on here now watching. I saw his name earlier. One of the many mediums that has been blessed and being able to be privileged to commune with the spirit world in a different way, a way that is modern. Because as Kerry talked about those seeds that are going to be planted, well, we can walk within our churches. We can talk within our churches. We can walk and talk within the religions that we belong to. But how many people are we reaching? How many people are we letting people know the truth of an afterlife, of eternal life, that we live on past the physical body of death? Well, for me, I heard the spirit world say, we don't want religion. We want the freedom to speak, to meet and greet many people. And those words echoed within my mind for many months, as that is my background, coming from a religion, spiritualism. Well, for me, people are looking for more today. They're looking for spirituality. They're looking for a truth. They're looking for something that greets them and fits their life. And as wonderful as spiritualism is, and I love it, I also believe in spirituality. And I also believe in progression. And I also believe in people coming forward with their own version, with their own thoughts. And over the last several weeks, while myself and Kerry have been away, we've introduced you to some wonderful people, students, that have been developing through such portals as this, online, through Zoom, through Sandra's We Don't Die, a progression of development of life, not just of a mediumistic ability or a spiritual practice, but actually a personal development, a different perception of life, a different understanding of life. And you're starting to see some of the treasures, some of the real gifts that we've been able to nurture within people, those abilities that they have. And yes, they're individual. Yes, they're different. And so they should be. Because as we progress, aren't we taking up those seeds that Kerry talked about? Aren't we living those seeds, living those truths? And as those seeds plant within our mindsets, aren't they growing to what is new, to what is possible? Because with new growth, old growth dissipates, or we learn from it, and we deepen those thoughts. And it's that seed that is planted that creates change within others as you listen, as you think, as you reflect. For me, spirituality is one of the greatest things in this world. But to nurture a seed in somebody else is a true privilege. You've seen many students from the We Don't Die Academy growing. You're about to see a new influx of those students coming on here, not as the finished article, but as seeds growing. They're blooming into beautiful flowers. They have a wonderful ability that you could compare to a flower as a scent. As you know, flowers are different shapes and colors and different scents about them. And that's the beauty of spirituality, seeing people grow, seeing people be influenced, not knowing with your seed growing within your mind that you're actually inspiring somebody else. You're creating a different thought or perception or a new way for them to think. Over the last several weeks, as Sandra mentioned, we've been traveling. We've seen distant lands, met new people, listening to them, listening to their thoughts, taking their thoughts in and adding them to our own understanding and deepening that understanding. And it's been a sheer privilege to actually speak to people with a different mindset, with a kindness, with a generosity, with welcoming arms and open hearts, willing to listen to something different as we've listened to them. And it's been a wonderful experience to have. But along that journey, we've done our own planting of seeds within ourselves, within our minds. Just recently, myself and Kerry were ordained as ministers, spiritual ministers. And that journey has been magnificent, learning about different religions, different understandings, so we can speak to many people out there from different cultures, different ways of life. And it is that that really sparked a real creation within us to share those truths. Because over the years of development of myself and others, we start to learn things that are new. We start to question what has gone before us. And we're told, aren't we, what we can do, what we're allowed to do, and what we should do. Well, those seeds break those barriers down. No longer can we be told what to do because we've got a mindset of our own. We challenge those boundaries. Why? What if? And if I did that, what would happen? And it's those challenging thoughts over the last few years that have changed people, that has changed communication, that has changed the reach of the spirit world. No longer do you have to visit a village hall, theatre, community centre, church. You can now sit in your own living room and have that contact from a loved one through modern technology. That progression, that seed that was planted in the beginning changed our lives. But did we know it? No, we didn't. Was it welcomed? No, it wasn't. There was many challenges along the way, not just with technical problems, but with mindsets, with seeds of old that have been planted. No, you can't do that. You shan't do that. How does it work? They said after a while. Well, that's interesting. And then they said, can I try? Can we do? And the world that we know right now has progressed to what we know it, to what we see every day. And now when we go online on the internet, there's many gatherings, there's many places to worship, many places to meet and greet, and many places to listen to the spirit world. And that's one of the beauties of spirituality, because there's so many varying degrees of mediumship out there. Everyone's ability is unique. The way they share it is that gift. And understanding how it comes across, we have to be open-minded too. I listened to somebody recently where they said, well, I watched somebody and it wasn't that good. And I said, well, you can't make that decision because you weren't that recipient. You don't know what that message meant to that person. We can only communicate what is given to us and know that it is enough to inspire the living, to change somebody's life, to plant a seed of change, for them to think and reflect upon those memories with loved ones. So the last several weeks, even though we have not been here, and the last 4.5 years have been one big journey, one big development, one big seed of a chain of thought. And we know one thing about nature, don't we? And plants and flowers and trees, that with every happening within nature, there is a seed planted. For every year, a plant blossoms, a flower blossoms, trees blossom, and from those blossoms, seeds are planted. New life is grown, new trees are made, new flowers are created. Not just through that plant kingdom, but within nature, there are critters, there are animals that take those seeds and move them to different places, reaching new parts of the forest, new parts of the world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, spirituality is exactly that seed that has been planted around the world, that is here to inspire, is here to uplift, but also here to create change. And change we have. And we have a responsibility, ladies and gentlemen, to do that change from our heart's intention of purity, of upliftment, and with love. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Phil. And thank you, Kerry. Lovely words. Oh, it's nice to have you guys back. Phil will be in charge next Sunday. We'll be here as well, but he will be devising something beautiful. And congratulations to you both, too, on gaining your minister certification. I know there's places online you can just right away and get something in the mail, but they didn't do this. They took years to really study and practice and were tested on so much. So it's been a labor of love, and thankfully we're here to receive the benefit of it. We're going to move into our demonstration of mediumship right now, and Kerry and Phil will be doing our demonstration today. If this is your first time here or you've been with us before, I'll explain how this goes. I always ask that you're on your edge of your seat, like it's your first time. Have that excitement. This is something big that's happening. This is showing that the afterlife is real and that our loved ones are really with us. You have seen Kerry speak, myself and Phil. We are the representatives of people, you guys, here on Earth. Currently, we have close to 200 people right now in our Sunday gathering. We will get a handful of representatives from the spirit world on behalf of all of our loved ones. So some of you will receive contact today and get some evidence that your loved one is with you and maybe some words for your life. Others will not. Most of us will not. The thing is, just like Kerry's message and Phil's message today, it reached a place in your heart. The same thing goes through for our panelists, we'll call them panelists, that are in the spirit world. If you listen close enough, even if it isn't your loved one that comes through, you'll hear just how close they are, how they witness things in our life, how they're still very much part of our life. And sometimes those words that they give, the message they call it, is something that we can adopt in our life. Sometimes I think, oh my gosh, that's just what I needed to hear today. How they're picked, I don't know. Somebody back there, maybe the master of ceremonies in the spirit world, will pick the panelists from the spirit world to come through. I don't know. But how it works is this way from what I have witnessed. Kerry and Phil are both long-time mediums, well over 25 years, and they're also tutors of mediumship. They'll invite those in the unseen world to present themselves. You will hear them first do a little description about the spirit person has come forward. Now, I say spirit people because we're still people when we transition. We're no balls of light or energy. Like, we're still us. We really are. We still have our personality, which we've often seen, haven't we? There's been quite a bit of humor that's come through on some of these Sundays. but they'll give a description. Maybe it's man or woman, what they did for work, the relation to you. I don't know. As they do that, we want you to really listen in. Those in the spirit world know exactly who's here on our Sunday gathering. If you think nobody's watching you, nobody knows you're watching, oh, your loved ones know you are here. So this message could very well be for you. So when Kerry or Phil give those initial bits of information about this person who has passed, if you can understand all the information that they just shared, that it's your person. Now, it could be somebody you worked with, could be a loved one, could be somebody a little distant that you knew. But if you can take all of the information they shared, we want you to press your raise hand button. Now, right now, this is audience participation. I want you to find that raise hand button on your device and press it for me. I know some of you that are on iPads and iPhones and other things, you need to click the 3 dots and then you'll see the raise hand button. Oh, you're doing it for me. Great, great, great. Well, some of you are. Oh, others say, oh, Sandra, I've done it 100 times. That's okay. Why this is important is because sometimes there's more than one person that can take the information. All right. So if our medium continues to work to give some more information about the spirit person and it does not a fit for you, just be honest and press the button, which should now say lower hand. So for all of you who participated, you can press that button again. It should say lower hand and put down your hand. This is important to do because, it's maybe different if we were all together under one roof, but because we are not, this is the best way we know how to do this. So like I said, it's important that you're truthful. Only take the information if it all applies to you. All right. If nobody raises their hand, Kerry and Phil will continue to working until we get to that right person. All right. Simple as that. It is as simple as that. Now, if you are a person that gets to work with one of our mediums today or ever in the future, we want you to let them do the work. And what I mean by this is you simply say yes, no, or I don't know to the information that they give you. Far too often, my friends, people are so excited and they want to ramble on about their loved one. The problem with that is when you get home or you leave our Sunday gathering, you think, did my loved one really come through, or did I volunteer that information? So that everybody knows that Kerry and Phil are really working with our loved ones in the spirit world, just do us the favor and say yes, no, or I don't know. All right? What else do I have to say? I think that's it. If there's something I missed, certainly we'll cover it when we get to the demonstration. We always like to play a feel-good piece of music before we start. We do. I have picked Michael Franti and Spearhead. I can't even think of the word now. Spearhead, that's it. It's called Say Hey, I Love You. It's just a happy, tropical song. It feels good. You feel love. Imagine that your loved ones are packed in the room with you right now, and their love is real. They're with you. They love you. They do not just wait for the Sunday gathering, by the way. They are still living their lives in the unseen world, but they're only a breath away and can be with you the drop of a dime. So here is our Michael Franti song, and then we'll be back with our demonstration of mediumship. So just sit back, feel some love and joy. That's what I'm hoping for. I love you. We love you. I love you. That's a happy song. Well, my friends, welcome to our demonstration.
Hello, Sandra. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all well and enjoying yourself. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you. My job is to commune with the spirit world, and Sandra is going to do all the behind the scenes just to make sure everything runs as smoothly as possible. And therefore, I just need you to speak up and say yes or no to me. Okay. All right. Okay. So as I become aware, I know I've got 2 people with me. And as I start to work with those 2 people, I know it's mother and father. And I also hear the name of Frank and also Joyce as well. But I feel I want to just work with mum, because I feel that mum ruled the roost. She was the one that was in charge as well. And I get the impression here that she didn't always, how can I put this? Always hold back. She shared her opinions, because I know she was quite strong-minded. And when I say that, I know that she was a lady that said it like it was as well. So I know I've got mum and dad. I know I hear those 2 names, and I also know that mum's the main communicator and said it how it was as well. And I just get the impression as I go a bit further with Mum that she was a lady that wouldn't take no for an answer. And I know she liked to do things her own way as well.
All righty. Thank you, Phil. Friends, if you can understand all of this information, please go ahead and press your raise hand button. Okay, Erica and Jane and Linda can take all the information.
We've
Three
got three
people.
people. That's absolutely fine. But it feels here that I want to talk about, and I just get that sense here that Dad would have gone first, and it would have been Mum that looked after and cared for Dad. And I know Mum passed that went second.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. We have one person's hand remaining up, and that would be Jane. Jane, if you could press your unmute button. Hello, Jane.
Hello.
Hello, Jane. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Phil.
Well, and do you understand everything I've said, Jane?
I do, yes.
Fabulous. And I can't remember the names because my mind has gone blank, okay? But would you understand with your mum that she was that strong-minded person? She said what she thought.
She did, yes.
And it feels where, and I want to be fair to her, I don't feel she was cruel, but she did speak the truth. And always sometimes the truth hurts a little bit.
That's true.
And I also feel with your mum, she was the main one that was in charge. It feels like she ruled the roost.
Yes.
And it feels when I say that, when she told you to do something, it had to be done in that moment. You couldn't wait and do it later.
Yes.
And I also feel as well that Mum would watch you do it. So it's not just about do what I say. You've got to do it to her standard as well.
Yes, I think so, yes.
Because I know there's that impression from her. But I also feel as well that when Mum got started, I know Dad and other people around would raise their eyebrows and go, she's off on one. Understand?
I don't know that so much.
Bear with me, because it feels here that if I said that Mum got a little bit, I'm going to be really polite, Mum would get a bit of a bee in her bonnet, and she would, it's almost like I want to say ethics and morals were important, and things that had to be done properly.
Yes.
Because I get that sense with her, and that's what I mean. It feels where if Mum was in that place or in that mindset, people knew not to mess, and also almost like backed off a little bit.
Yes.
Because I know I don't want to get on the wrong side of Mum. But I also feel with Dad, because I know he's here as well, he feels he was a little bit more laid back.
Yes.
And it feels where anything for an easy life or a more peaceful life with your dad.
Yes.
And if I said with your dad, he liked to do the garden as well.
Sometimes.
Because it feels that was his way of escaping Mum. Now, I'm not saying there was problems between him and Mum, because I don't feel that, but I feel sometimes it was for that peaceful, quiet life, he would be outside or out of the house.
I can imagine that, yes.
Because again, there's that impression from him. But I also feel with your father, your dad, that he was a person that was about detail as well, though.
Yes.
And because it feels where I said he'd do the garden, it feels that things had to be done properly.
Yes.
And have he also said that he liked to, well, I don't say he liked, but he used to do the DIY.
Yes.
And it feels where, again, I want to match wallpaper up, but it's got to be in line. It's got to be perfect.
Absolutely.
And it's not just that, it's got to be cut exactly right as well. And it feels where Dad was a little bit protected go over things like this.
Yes.
Because I want to say that nobody else can do it. I've got to do it because I know it's got to be done right as well. But would I be right in saying Dad was a bit of a nurturer as well? Let me explain that, because it feels like when Dad did DIY, like wallpapering and such things, it feels like he would explain to people how it had to be done.
Yes.
Because I know it's almost that nurturing mindset, that way that he really comes forward as well. And I also get the sense where it could be a little bit of a joke or a little bit of a tease for people. Once he started saying how things should be done, people would also roll their eyes or lift their eyebrows and go, oh, he's off again.
I don't remember that so much.
Okay, because I know it's just that sense of being around, because I do get the impression that was Mum. Can I just check here, Jane, for a second? You have still old black and white photographs of your mum and dad together.
Yes,
And you also should have the wedding photograph as well.
I do.
And
Yes,
again, I feel that you've looked at some of these photographs just recently,
yes,
because this is what they make me aware of. And I also know that you've been talking to your mum and dad just recently as well, in your mind.
yes, I think
Because
so.
I know there's impression here. Now, would I be right in saying, and please forgive me, Jane, that you've not been feeling 100% yourself recently?
That's correct.
Because I know there has been conversations with mum and dad asking for that help, and this is why they come forward, because they let me know about this as well. And I also know your mum's talking about hospital appointments here as well.
Yes,
And again, there must be a few that's on an appointment card that she shows me.
there's some more coming up.
That's fine, because I know she shows me this just to say that I'm around you, because I know it's mum and dad's way of coming around and not, how can I put, it's almost what I want to say, that they're going to make sure things get done properly and the boxes are ticked and the I's are dotted. As I said, both of them in their own way are about doing things correctly, and they want to make sure things are done correctly for you to bring that peace of mind as well. You would also know a postman in the spirit world as well, Jane.
Oh, I can't think of one.
You will do, because I know he's just said hello to you. So I know here there's an impression of a postman, but I also feel as well, and I want to prove this, that where we used to live at one time where mum was concerned, mum would have liked to go to the local community shops.
Yes,
And it feels where there was butchers and hairdressers.
yes,
And I know here this is where the postman would come in from, but I also know that mum liked to speak to people as well in the local community, because it's that sense of knowing what's going on as well. And I actually want to go back to the hairdressers. Mum would have been very particular about her hair as well.
yes.
And it feels like I want to go every week.
Sometimes, yes.
And it feels like it should be the day that she always went was a Friday.
Can't remember, sorry.
Because I know I want to be ready for the weekend and look my best, she says here. So I'm going to leave her love, your dad's love, knowing that they're bringing their thoughts around you for that well-being at the moment and that healing for you. But also it's taking you down memory lane. Remember those good old days when mum was, how dad was, really trying to spur you on. I'm going to say thank you very much for allowing me to do that, Jane.
Thank you so much, Phil.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Good, good, good. Just going to get a drink of the water.
Absolutely. Stay hydrated.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I learned to do while on my travels. Ended up in medical facilities because I didn't do that. Okay, so as I become aware of the spirit world once more, ladies and gents, I know I have dad. And as I work with dad, I feel that dad was it's almost like I want to say he was a man of many hobbies. It's almost like I could turn my hands to different things, because I know here he likes to tinker. So I want to talk about dad being first of all, he would have known his way around car engines. I do believe that he would have been of a really decent level of mechanic as well, because it feels like he knew what he was doing. But I also feel as well that he would help people in the local area, the street or the community, where he would have helped them with machinery and things like lawn mowers and all kinds of things here. So I know I have dad, and I know he would have liked to tinker with engines and things.
Thank you, Phil. All right, friends, who understands that information, press your raise hand button, please. Okay, with Jane and Julia.
So I won't be with Jane. Let's see where we go here with the rest of them. So as I become more aware of Father, I know I want to talk about him having a really good sense of humor. And I also feel with his sense of humor, it could be a close to the knuckle. So I know there would be one or two jokes, I think, but I also feel there's a little bit of sarcasm there as well. And it's almost humor I would understand. So I want to be in the United Kingdom at least.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. If you can take all this information, including a United Kingdom, press your raise hand button, please.
And I actually feel I want to be, because I've been watching a program recently. It feels like I want to be in the northwest of England, where I am actually at the moment.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have Julia with her hand raised. Julia, if you could press your unmute button, please. Hi, Julia. Welcome.
Hello, Julie. I'm just going to turn you up. I can't hear you. You well?
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic. So you understand everything I've said?
Yes,
And would you understand, with your dad's sense of humour, he would have liked funny things?
yes,
And if I said he liked the old-fashioned comedians, would you understand that?
yes.
Just like that, Tommy Cooper and everything.
Tommy Cooper, yes.
Correct, because I keep on hearing impressions, and that's as far as my impressions go. But I also feel as well, now there's a mixture here, because I know he liked the family comedians. Would I be correct?
Yes,
Norman Wisdom and people like that.
yes,
Good. But I also feel that your dad's got a bit of a wicked side, so he'd like the bluer comedians as well,
yes,
because it feels like he would have stayed up and watched the late night comedians, and I can hear one or two things that I can't repeat over the air. So I know here he had that, but he could tell one or two that were a little bit naughty as well.
yes,
But I know that he's a gentleman. He would leave certain things out and tame them down that little bit.
yes,
But I also feel with your dad, he wasn't happy unless he was playing with engines and tinkering.
yes,
And it feels where he was, I can't say that, happy as a pig in muck, when he's got oil under his fingers and on. You understand?
yes,
And here, it's almost where I want to say that he could be, I can't say that, he could be a little bit of a nerd, if you understand, when it came to engines.
yes,
Because it's almost a sense where I want to strip things down. I want to tell everybody how it works, and I want to almost explain it, but go over the top with it as well
yes,
to anybody that would listen. And if
yes,
you were caught in earshot, you'd be pulled into it as well. Now, where he used to live, would I be right in saying that he could either see Pendle Hill?
no.
Then it must be where you live.
Where I live, yeah.
That's fine, because I know here I'm seeing the Pendle Hill with the witches. I know on the chat you put the Pennines, but I know it's Pendle Hill. But I also feel here that your dad, it's almost like where he didn't just have a sense of humour, he had a sarcastic sense of humour as well.
Yes,
Because I know when he mentioned the Pendle Hill, it's almost like, I know where you live. So I know there's a real jovial side to him, but I also feel he couldn't help himself. I want to go back to the engines, where he'd see somebody struggling and go and help them.
yes, yeah,
And it wouldn't matter if it was a car or a lawnmower, because he'd go over and offer his help.
yes,
And there must be memories where he went over to neighbours and actually helped on their lawnmowers and garden equipment.
yeah,
And where we used to live, would I be right in saying it was a cul-de-sac at one time?
it is, yeah.
Because again, he makes me aware of this,
Mm.
and it's almost where I want to say, and let me just look at this for a second. Would I also be right in saying where you live, Julia, there is a tree right outside your house?
There was.
Okay, there was, because I know it's gone.
It's gone. I've got to sit down.
Exactly, because he's just shown me a chainsaw, so I know here he's trying to show you he knows what's gone on, and it's
Yeah.
almost where he could have taken that tree down better, if you understand. He would have
Oh, well, yeah.
that's his mindset as well. But I also feel that he was quite well known in the community,
Yes,
and it feels where I want to go into the local public houses with him as well.
yeah,
And it feels where it's not just going in, but he would almost have his own chair.
possibly. I'm not sure about
Bear with
that.
me. It's almost where I want to say in his local community, local vicinity, he could walk into a pub and he would always know somebody,
Yes,
because I know I'm that well known or
Yes.
popular. And there's a little bit of I wouldn't say an ego with him. There's just a little bit of confidence there with him, because it's almost he could talk to anybody.
yes,
And he enjoyed socializing, and he would, I can't say that, he would talk about absolutely anything with anybody.
yes,
Your dad could use certainly unpolitically correct words, not really bad ones, but ones I don't want to repeat in front of ladies and an audience.
yes,
Okay, because I know there's one or two. So if I slip, Sandra, I do apologize. I have got buttons I can bleep myself out, but I'm in a different space. But that there's a sense here. And would you understand your dad would be a big kid?
Yes.
And if I said that he used to,
I don't know what's happening.
He's been a big kid for you.
exactly. So it's almost a sense where he would put on different voices.
Yes.
Okay. And he would imitate people as well.
Yes.
Because again, it's just these impressions. Now, if I said to you that he would read you nursery rhymes, but also stories as well,
Yes.
but he would indulge himself in the characters.
Yes.
And he would things, and I did this earlier with Sandra. Fee, 4, 5, fum. I can smell the blood. It's almost like I want to tease you with these things and chase you around,
Yeah, yeah.
because I know that's just his mindset as well. But I do feel, Julia, that you still have his cards that he would have given you, like birthday cards and Christmas cards.
Yes.
And it's not just that, you still have paperwork of his as well.
I do, yes.
And it's almost where you have not just photographs of the family, but you have your dad's photographs, because they are priceless to you.
Yes.
And I'm not just talking about photographs of him. It feels that he would have taken photographs of holidays and kept them.
Yes.
And you have them still.
I do.
And they're in the old Kodak film things, that sleeves.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember your dad used to have one of those Polaroid cameras that it takes a picture and it
Comes
comes
out straight away, yes.
Because I know here, it feels where your dad also had one of those Kodak cameras you used to wind on, just like a throwaway one, but he used to keep them and sneak them in as well.
Yeah.
And if I said when you were children and kids and on holiday, he would take pictures of you. These are decent, by the way, pictures of you while you're sleeping in funny positions and things.
Yeah.
Because I know it's just his sense of
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
to do. But I know it's the memories of all these things that he wants to bring back. But I also get the sense with your dad as well, that he's here and he wants to know, and he just said, I tell her I love her more than what because you've just said it to him and he says he loves you more, is that type of character. But it's almost to let you know that he hears your words and how you've been thinking recently. And I'm going to say this very privately, where you've had thoughts but kept them to yourself, but mulling them over and reflecting about them just recently.
Yes.
I'm going to leave his love with you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Allowing me to do that for you. Your dad could do accents as well, couldn't he?
Yes.
Because he's doing all kinds and I don't understand them. I think I've got an idea, but it'll get me in trouble. Anyway, I'm going to leave his love with you and say thank you very much. And I'm going to hand over to a very, very beautiful lady. She is my wife, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Kerry McLeod. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Phil. We love that. Hello, Kerry.
Hello. It's very strange to see Phil online in a different room in a different country. We've almost lived in each other's pockets for weeks now. So, hi. Okay. It is an absolute marvel to be back. And just as I was listening to Phil working there, I was aware of a lady coming in, and I know this lady would be wife. And I know because she kept on holding my hands that I wouldn't be surprised if there's a child with dad at the moment at home. I know that wife would have had an incredible Okay. I know that she would have had an incredible strength within her. And I also know that husband would have been there, I would say to the end. But I also, I am very aware that there is a period of time where, just give me a moment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to open that up and see if anybody understands it so far.
Thank you, Kerry. So we're looking for a gentleman, right? With a wife and spirit.
Correct.
Okay. All right, friends, who understands this information, press your raise hand button, please. Okay. I know we have Pete here. even though that's not the name on the screen. Pete, if you want to press your unmute button, please. Hi, Pete.
Hiya. Hiya. Hi, Kerry.
Hi. Hi, Pete. I was about to say I'm in Scotland, but then I began to question the evidence. Pete, you would know that you would have been with your wife right to the end.
Yes.
And I know you would have held her hand.
Yes.
But I'm not just saying that you would have felt her respond to you at times as well, Pete.
Yes.
And I get this sense that she was able to remain with us on this in this world for longer than the doctors thought.
Yes, I think that probably is correct.
Because I know that even though you were saying that it was okay for her to go, I do know that there would have been people that travelled to see your wife and got there before she passed.
Doctors, yes.
I feel as if your wife would have waited on people getting to her so she could say her goodbyes.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, sorry. I don't know about that. There was someone there that she knew. That's all I can say already. Maybe
Then-
not right. I don't
Then,
know.
with your wife, Pete, you would have been playing her music.
At times, not at the end, no, but at times.
Can I check? Is it not that I'm not with you, Pete, but
No, you
would
might.
anybody else understand this evidence?
Thank you very much, Kerry. All right, any gentlemen with us that can also understand this evidence, press your raise hand button if yes. No hands being raised, Kerry.
I'm at a bit of a loss because I know what I've got, but I'm probably not going to be able to do it. I'm going to probably, Phil, are you still there? You are.
Yes.
I can't deliver this. Would you be able to do it for me?
Yeah, I nipped out. I had to go to little boy's room, so you'll have to remind me.
Okay. So, Phil, I've got a wife here, and I knew that I was in Scotland, and I thought I was with Pete, but I also know that the husband was the.
This is your mum, isn't it? Yep, I thought as much. Okay, so Derek, do you want to get your dad on? Hi, Derek. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my father-in-law. Okay. We've lost you for a
Do
second.
you want me to repeat the evidence for you, Phil?
No, I'll go in it. I think she's with me. Derek, you understand that Lorraine was a very strong-minded lady?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand as well that she spoke her mind?
Yes.
And she didn't hold back either.
Correct.
And I also feel that sometimes she could feel, God, this is going to be difficult. It's going to be really hard to do this because it just feels that she sometimes could be a little bit hard on yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
Because again, but it also feels here that she was a lady that liked to keep the peace though as well. And when I say that, it feels like she was the peacekeeper.
Very much so.
Because it just feels also where I want to go out into the family and I want to bang heads together and sort things out. So she wasn't afraid of strong conversations.
Correct.
And I'm going to admit this, I've never seen her do that, but I know she makes me aware of this as well. But I also feel as well that when it came to speaking the truth, she stuck to facts.
Yes.
And I also believe as well, the area that I'm talking about is within the family and within the sisters as well.
Correct. Yes.
And I also feel that not just the ones that I met, but the ones I didn't meet that are in the spirit world, she did the same with those.
Yes.
And it also felt like she, and I feel she voiced this, that it felt like her responsibility to keep the family together.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also want to go back because it feels here, I want to acknowledge that I could be quite stubborn and I could be, in fact, I'm going to leave it there. She could be quite stubborn as well.
Yes.
And I want to say that I was going to go out on my own terms, not when people thought I would.
Yes. Correct.
And it feels here, if you thought or you told her to do something, then she'd do it, but in her own time, but she'd make you wait for it as well.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And I also know when you were in the room with Lorraine, that you, by yourself, you shared a few things of the heart of how much you did love her.
Yes.
And again, I feel that you really opened up at that point because it was just you and her, and she couldn't respond back to you. So I know that was at the end.
Yes.
And I want to say to you, Derek, you could not have done any more for me than what you did.
Okay.
There's something here she's bringing. Kerry, can I ask what you said originally?
That she lasted longer than doctors would think, that she was very stubborn, and that there was a holding of hands, and that husband thought he felt her respond.
Yep. Okay, I would totally agree with that. And you know, Lorraine was never going to listen to doctors anyway, and she was never going to listen to anybody else. She would always do it her way as well. And I also feel there would be memories to prove this where you're away on holiday, even where she was in the wrong, she was always in the right and did things stubbornly.
Very much so.
Because I know here, and it's almost where I want to say that when she was like that, you couldn't do anything right anyway.
Always.
Because again, I've just got that impression from her. But I also get the sense here that it wasn't just where you were squeezing the hand, where Kerry acknowledged. It's almost like I just want to either rub her hand or just stroke the hand as well.
Yes.
Because I know it's something a little bit different, but I also need to acknowledge where you stroked my face and you did my hair and sorted me out in private while nobody else was there.
Yes.
And I also believe, and again, this isn't common knowledge, that you said your own prayers and asked your father and your mother in the spirit world to receive her.
Yes.
Because I also know here, I've got her other sisters, I've got your mum and dad as well. And I also have a gentleman by the name of Tommy that wants to be remembered as well. Do you understand? Tommy the gun.
Oh, yeah.
Turn the gun.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Okay, so again, and it also feel he would have played bagpipes. Sorry, my mistake. You also would know a gentleman in the spirit world that would have played bagpipes as well.
Correct, yes.
Okay. I know they're all here making a noise and also celebrating and also thanking you for everything that you did, because I know Lorraine has been received well with her sisters, and I know nothing has changed. They're all still having a coffee, and in fact, they swapped the coffee for a cocktail. And I know here it's those memories of fun years, years from years ago where they would have had that cocktail. Understand?
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to leave that with you and say thank you for allowing me to do that.
Thanks, Val.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Based on time, should we leave it at that today for the demonstration?
I think we will. And that contact is one of the hardest I've had to do, because even though it's a family member, I've got to say to the spirit world, you can't give me things that I know. You have to bring things through. That's why there was private moments mentioned just between Derek and Lorraine there. And it as you can see with Kerry, it has touched that place of emotion. These things need to happen to plant seeds of healing and understanding, but also to show they're very much around. And medium isn't, what's the word I'm looking for, isn't immune from grief, as you can see. Just because we're mediums doesn't mean that we don't feel pain, we don't feel emotion. And as you can see with Kerry, that contact was very much needed for many, many reasons.
Thank you very much, Phil, and thank you, Kerry, for the demonstration. Derek, sending you so much love, and we know Lorraine is right there. And that goes for all of our loved ones. They are a very big part of our life. Once we get over there, we're going to know just how difficult it is to do some of these mind-bending things that people say are beautiful signs for them. But please know that they come through in just the most gentle ways. You could be living your life, not thinking of your loved one, and out of the blue, a memory comes in of something you did together. That's a little calling card saying, I'm right here with you. Not too long ago on We Don't Die Radio, you'll find a really special interview I did with Kerry and Phil. And in it are some techniques to be in touch with your own loved one. So that's on my YouTube channel. Just look up We Don't Die Radio on YouTube and you can scroll down and see that. Also, you can find it on my website, wedon'tdie.com. Some announcements of what's coming up on Tuesday. We have Sitting for the Power Hour with Scott Milligan. Wonderful opportunity to recharge your spiritual battery. Everything we do, by the way, is recorded and you get replays if you can't join live. One thing that's happening this Thursday that there's no replay for. Our friends Kath and Mitch Shirley are both advanced grief recovery specialists. And once a month, they do something called the Free Grief Cafe. It's time to understand grief, some healing techniques, and it's not recorded. It's very private. So if you want to join them, you can. That's there. Also, on Friday, we'll be back with our friend Scott Milligan for In the Arms of Eternity, when we start off with Sitting for Healing, followed by a demonstration of trance mediumship. Also, they're very special occasions. Kerry and Phil hosts our classes every week on Wednesday and Thursdays. We're already a few weeks into our classes, but you can always join in and watch the replays and then join us live on Wednesday and Thursday, our psychic and medium classes. And then next week or so, I'll have some updates as to the new classes starting. As I said, this coming Sunday, Phil is our chairperson for the Sunday gathering. He is creating quite the Sunday, so you want to be sure to register for that. Again, just go to wedon'tdie.com. You can click on the store page and register for anything coming up. You can meet Kerry and Phil live if you like. They will be in New Jersey, in the old USA, in October. Whether you're online or whether you're in person, when you start feeling that soul-to-soul connection, that it is by nature of being human that we can communicate with our soul. It's very real. You don't ever have to be a medium charging money out in the public, but just to have that experience that it's real and your loved ones are still alive and well. It's one of the best reasons to believe in the afterlife. I have 2 brand new podcasts for you. On We Don't Die, you can meet David Towns, who is the owner and curator for Dr. Raymond Moody's lifeafterlife.com. Some great stories of near-death experiences and more. And on Shades of the Afterlife, which you can find on your favorite podcast app, it's about after-death communications, different ways that people come in to let them know that I'm still around. So there's lots of stories shared as well. Everything you can find at wedon'tdie.com. To register for next Sunday, we have a Sunday gathering tab there, and you can also watch replays of past Sunday gatherings. And for those of you who have donated to make our Sunday gathering possible, a big, warm, appreciative thank you. It makes a difference. Everything gets expensive, and your donations help fuel this and make it available to so many more. So thank you for that. Just a few brief words for the week before I turn it over to one of my friends for the closing prayer. For me, I was talking about age. Our minds have this habit of looking to the future of what's not done yet or what's wrong. And that's just by being human. So we can make it wrong for doing it, or we can just acknowledge that that's what our minds do. They're looking for what's not done yet, right? And what we don't have. Take some time, look for what we do have, what you're grateful for, the people in your life, those little moments that just make you smile. You know, Phil used the word critter, and this morning I was greeted by a squirrel looking at me through our kitchen window because he knows that I throw peanuts out that window. Just a little moment that just brings me joy. So take time, slow down, feel what you're grateful for and the people. And like the song says, you might even want to say, I love you. Let me turn it over to one of my friends for the closing prayer.
Thank you, Sandra, for those inspiring words. And we can all picture that squirrel at the window banging away, feed me. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the gathering that we join in prayer once more, just to thank that spirit, but also create that goodness within our hearts for that week that is approaching us. So if you will join me by going into that divine silence. Great eternal Spirit, we have sat within your arms of love, that love that uplifts and inspires us to be better people, to be greater people, to be kinder people, for that week that approaches, as we ask for that upliftment, but also we ask for that truth of life and the wonders that it can present. As we open our minds through those seeds that have been planted here this evening, to cast that light into those dark areas of our lives, that we may see true, that we may find that healing. But most of all, Father, we feel that love of that divine. Amen.
Thank you so much, Phil. As we go into our closing song, we just got a question in the chat box. How do you find past replays? Well, the same link you used today becomes a replay. It's just short term. It'll only be there for a few weeks, so you'll want to download it from that. And then also, give me 24 hours or so. The replay will go on the Sunday Gathering page at wedon'tdie.com, so you can download it or view it there. As we move into our closing song, well, Sir Rod Stewart is close to being 80 years old. And to me, he's just a living expression. Keep the life in your years, no matter how old you are. So let's enjoy this happy tune from Rod Stewart. Well, that man still got it, and so do you, and so do I. Thank you again to Kerry and Phil, Derek behind the scenes, you folks at home or wherever you are, and definitely our friends in the spirit world. We love you. We'll see you again next Sunday, if not sooner. Bye.